an author and professor of history at Springfield College in Charleston, South Carolina. And I've written 3 books, and one of them, my most recent, is a book that is entitled Mr. Potts and Me. It's a novel that I wrote that's loosely based on my childhood. You see, when I was a kid, my dad told me all these wonderful stories that explained to me what life was all about and helped me in my quest in manhood. So many years later, I took the stories that he told me and fictionalized it in this book, Mr. Potts and Me, so that in case there were ever young people who may go through life and need this type of advice, they can get it. Also, to preserve a lot of my dad's great stories and some classics in African American folklore. Now, one really interesting story that he told me that I somewhat put in fictionalized form in the book goes as follows. You see, back in the days of slavery, you would often have cases where the masters would get the slaves to do the fighting for them. But, however, the slaves would sometimes take that and turn this into their own advantage, you see. Since the masters felt that they were ignorant, the slaves would often use trickery to get what they wanted. And here's an example of that. You see, back in the day, there used to be a guy called Old John. And Old John was basically sort of a human version of Brer Rabbit. He was a trickster figure. And I remember clearly Dad telling me one of his favorite stories along this line that went like this. He said one time the master came over to Old John and says, "John, why don't you come here, boy?" Yep, and the slave says, "Yes, sir, boss, what can I do for you?" And he says, "Well, John, I tell you what, I made a bet with this fellow who had this plantation over on the other side of town that you could beat one of his boys." He said, "That I could beat one of his boys?" "Yeah, we made this little nice bet and everything. I bet my plantation that you could beat his boy. And if I win, I get his plantation and keep this. And if he wins, he gets to keep his plantation and mine. So I want you to, get some exercise so you can knock this guy out good." So Old John starts thinking a minute about it and says, "Now look here, boss. Tell you what, why don't we sweeten the pot a little bit?" "Sweeten the pot? What are you talking about?" "Well, you see, if you are going to get this plantation and his, now that means that you could afford to get rid of a few of your slaves." What do you mean, John? I don't follow." "Well, I mean it like this, master. See, if you get this plantation as well as that, you could afford to lose me and my family. So I tell you what, why don't we make it so that if I win, I get free and my family gets free and you get to keep all the rest. You get free and the others get free." "Well, yeah, sure, master. After all, that give me, more reason to do a little bit of that fighting now. Don't you think so?" "Well, John, I didn't think about it that way, so you have a point there." So John said, "Okay, this is short now." So he went back to the family and says, "Folks, get everything packed. We're going to be free tomorrow." So the wife says, "But wait a minute, he might be bigger than you." He says, "Oh, no. I'm going to make sure to win this. We're talking about our freedom here." Well, the next day came the day of the slave fight. And people gathered from miles around the plantation to watch this. The master was there with his top hat and frock coat. His mistress was there with her umbrella and dress and everything. So everyone's all excited to see this. And the master's over with John. "Now, John, make sure you knock this boy out good now. You hear this?" "Oh, yes, sir, boss. I'm going to do that real good." But then all of a sudden came a boom, 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 boom. And they noticed that the sky got a little bit darker. And there was a shadow crossing the sun. And there was another boom, 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 boom. And everyone's like, "Uh-oh, what's this?" And then John looks up and said, "Oh, boy." There was this huge fella called Big Goliath. Big, tall, black and with a shiny bald head. And he said, "Where is John?" So the master got scared, John got scared, the family got scared. His wife was like, "Uh-oh, what are we going to do to be free now?" And so then John quickly used his mind and said, "I know what I'll do." So John walked over to the master's wife and slapped the master's wife in the face. So Big Goliath said, "Ah!" and ran off in the other direction. So the master, seeing John slap his wife, he grabbed a rope and a pistol and says, "All right, now, John, what you mean by slapping my wife like that? You got 5 seconds to explain yourself or I'll throw you to kingdom come." And he said, "Relax, master. I won the plantation as well as that other plantation, and my family is free. He goes, how do you figure that, John? Says, well, I won the fight because he ran away, number one. But still, why'd you slap my wife? He says, very simple. So you could win and I could win, because after all, if he figured I was bad enough to slap a white lady, he knows what I would have done to him. So John was free. The master got his plantation, and his family went and lived the rest of their life in freedom. Now, the moral of that story should be plainly obvious. You see, in those days, when slaves had to deal with their masters, they would always live a little bit longer if they fought with this instead of this. And so it's a lesson to young people today that the best weapon that you could ever have is in your head and not in your hands. And on that note, hope you can find and enjoy Mr. Potts and Me by me, Damon Fordham, that you can find on Amazon.com, and you can order from various bookstores. Have a good day.